It's another great day in Quad Radio USA as we welcome you to another exciting edition. This time we're talking side-by-sides, the UTVs, and it's been a while since we've had a chance to do that. And I think actually probably the last UTV guy we talked to on Quad Radio / video, I know it's video, but it's still going to be called Quad Radio, was Cody Miller, and he was crowned the 2017 GNCC XC1 UTV champion. We say hello and welcome to Cody from beautiful, I hope, sunshiny Texas down there right now, buddy.
It's beautiful, but it's not exactly sunshine. We've had nothing but rain so far this year, and it's definitely been a burden, but hey, we're making it. Looking forward to getting back out to another race in Florida.
Well, I agree. I agree with you. I do too. And speaking of weather, here in Ohio, where I'm based out of right now, same thing, man. We've gotten weather. I think it's, honestly, the last couple of weeks' weather, I think it started there in Texas or come up out of the Gulf and somehow or another made a beeline for our place and just kind of settled in here. We have some saturated ground. But I'll tell you, man, I was amazed. It rained like crazy at my house over the course of the weekend. While we were in South Carolina, what was it doing in Texas for you guys down there? Raining, I suppose?
It was flooding. We've had more weather this last month than was ever recorded as far as rainfall. So it's broken all the records, and it's pretty well flooded everything out. It's definitely kept my practice trail underwater, which is kind of setting me back right now.
Well, I'll tell you, we're in a lot of the same scenarios and situations up here. Of course, I'm not racing, and I can do most of my work inside, so it's all good. But hey, man, it don't seem like that the wet weather has really hampered you a whole lot. I seen, you know, when we take a look at the first part, well, round number one wasn't quite the race you were looking for, man. I mean, you had a good run going, and then next thing we know, watching on Racer TV, as I work there with those guys too, you spend a lot of time in the pits, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty unfortunate. You know, my car, it's been a really short off season. It was a lot of work to get this car fully built. It was a really custom job, and it came together beautifully, but unfortunately, whenever I was putting the radiator lines in, I didn't quite route them or secure them as well as I should have, and unfortunately, after about 30 minutes or so of racing the other day at that Big Buck race, one of the lines came in touch with the header on the exhaust, and it melted a hole through it, started draining the antifreeze out. Luckily, I was pretty close to the pit area whenever I saw the steam and looked at the temperature and seeing that it was getting out of control. So my passenger and I made the decision to pull into the pits and fix it instead of ending up with a DNF, because certainly it would have drained all the coolant and blown the engine if I hadn't have stopped for that. But it was a pretty big disappointment. I knew whenever we pulled into the pits that it wasn't going to be just a really, really quick fix, but there was really no other option for me at that time. I had to get it taken care of and get coolant back in the car before we could finish the race, and it put us pretty far back. I think we were like 35th whenever I came across the finish line, even after doing all I could to try and make those last laps really count, but we were too far back to get any points. So it's definitely going to put a dampener on my championship situation. But in the last couple of years, the championships that I've won, I won by more than a race is worth. So with any luck at all, I'll be consistent the rest of the year, and we'll start putting this thing on the box and start gathering up some points. That's
awesome, man. Now tell me a little bit about last year's championship season. That one got to be hairy, I think, as the year before in 2016. It was pretty exciting, huh?
Yeah, I'll tell you, every year it's always exciting. I've got stiff competition out there. I mean, these guys are every bit as good a driver as I am, and it all comes down to making your equipment reliable and finishing the races consistently at the top. And it takes a lot of patience on a driver's part to try and not take chances out there. You've got to pick and choose your battles and stay consistently on top of that box. And I've been able to do that in the last 2 years. I hadn't had worse than a 4th place finish, and generally it was first, second, and third. This last race was my worst finish yet, obviously.
I'm not laughing at you. I was just thinking about your hands. Show us your hands. What are they looking like right now?
Oh yeah, I burnt them up pretty good as far as
man,
trying to get that car repaired while the radiator was still really hot. So as I was cutting lines out and replacing stuff, it was just pouring hot antifreeze on me, and Sometimes that's the price you got to pay whenever you're in a moment and you're really trying to do anything that you can. I'd
Right.
do anything to be on the box, or I'd do anything to win in a race. From burning my hands up to, you know, sacrifices must be
Yeah,
made.
they must, and you were making those, man, because like you said, you never finished anything less than a fourth place, and I know that had to be lurking back in your mind just a little bit, huh?
Oh yeah, it was a really hard pill to swallow whenever I came off the track and I saw the problem that I had, knowing the amount of time that it was going to take me to fix it. I did the fastest repair that I could and got the car back on the track. In general, it's an extremely reliable car, and the amount of custom stuff that we're doing right now, it's just like I said, it was a short off season. It's been flooded here in Texas. I haven't had as much time to test as what I would have liked to. If I could have even gotten 30 minutes straight on the car before that race, I would have had that issue away from the GNCC race, and it wouldn't have been such a costly thing.
Lesson
But
learned.
as it were, I got to do the best I can with what I got, and unfortunately, it just didn't shake out. I know that moving forward, I'm headed to Florida early to start getting in some practice time and check the car out in the sand, make sure everything is A class right before we go out to this next GNCC in Palatka.
Awesome. Now, see, last year was your first year with the Yamaha Blue Crew, right?
Yeah, last year was my first year on board Yamaha, and out of the box, it was a extremely reliable, extremely powerful, and fast car. This year, we're trying to step up the game a little bit, adding a turbo and
Yeah.
doing other things. And
And that's a
having,
bolt-on option that you can get, right?
yeah, it's a GYTR turbo kit, and it's a Yamaha endorsed kit, and it's so far it's extremely fast and reliable. The turbo and the more power and everything had nothing to do with my failure last weekend. It was really just poor mechanic work on my part, which was unfortunate.
Mhm.
But sometimes things happen. I suppose it's not easy to put one of these things together the right way the first time, but definitely not going to make that mistake twice. But I'm looking forward to getting the car out and really seeing what it does against these guys. I pulled a pretty good hole shot last weekend. I had about a car length going into the first corner over my brother and Kyle and everyone else. This thing, it really comes alive. It's pretty amazing the amount of horsepower that I'm working with. Its power-weight ratio is really creeping up there now. It's a whole lot more exciting than it ever was before.
It is, and watching the racing. I mean, I've watched this championship since its inception, basically nearly 10 years ago or so. Maybe has been 10 years now, but man, just the progression of this sport has just been amazing to me, man. I mean, and the competition level. And speaking of the competition level right now, there's you. There's your brother, there's Cheney, and that's just tip of the iceberg when you look at the big picture because, I mean, Cole Sequoia wasn't even there, who won last year's season opener, fellow Yamaha rider, if I'm not mistaken, and there's several other guys that are capable of winning and can and will win. I mean, if Tim Farr decides to come back out again, he's going to be a threat. William Yoakley comes back out, former champion of the championship, he's going to be a threat. I mean, those are just some of the old guys, but there's new guys coming too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the box from last weekend, there was a whole different group of faces up there than what we're generally seeing, including Walker Fowler. I mean, he had stepped it up pretty major, and which we kind of expect, as he gets the hold of this thing, he's going to take off and run with it. He's definitely an experienced GNCC racer and Yamaha endorsed rider. There was Truitt was also up there on the podium, and that was a new face for everybody.
That was. And Truitt, actually, he won the single-seat race earlier that day, and he was the defending champion from that. That was a big day, big opening round for him, looks like.
Yeah, he had a flawless weekend, that's for sure. Along with Jamie McCoy, I mean, there's just all kinds of new faces out there, and it's really, this is such a new sport. It's developing every day, and if you're not staying right on top of it, man, all these guys are just going to leave you behind.
They are. And you're right. It is a new sport that is developing. And you think about racing in general, side-by-side racing. Man, I mean, what genre does it fit in? I mean, do you does it fit in the dune buggy type category? Does it fit in the ATV type category? Does it fit in the race car type category? I mean, it's got so many different categories that it can kind of fall under, man. That's what I think. That's what's unique about it, because I mean, I've seen them moto with it, I've seen them round track TT with it, flat track desert race with it, and woods race, man. And it seems like every type and discipline of racing that is done with these UTVs, they're all so much different.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, it really draws people from every one of those fields that you were talking about. You know, my past has always been an ATV rider, a small amount of dirt bike experience as well. But, you know, whenever I first saw the UTVs coming to the market, I thought, man, that looks like the next step. That's the hot ticket. I mean, I'll have a roll cage around me. I'll have lots of horsepower and suspension to work with. You know, I got my buddy sitting next to me. It'll be, you know, it's a great time. And sure enough, the UTVs draw the interest of a dirt bike rider. They draw the interest of an ATV rider, a car racer, monster truck driver. Every single one of these folks, they all look at the side-by-sides and say, man, that's what I want to get into. That's where racing's going right now. I mean, it's a factory-backed effort that's going on. You've got all these competing manufacturers, lots of sponsorship opportunities. It's like I said, it's drawing the interest of everybody right now. I think even I heard that Ricky Carmichael might show up to race here very soon in GNCC in one of these side-by-sides.
Well, that would be awesome. I don't know how it may be even Florida. I don't know if it will be or not, because he's kind of busy with the RCSX and the Supercross and everything over there. That would be pretty neat. And to see him show up at a GNCC, I think would be pretty awesome. You're not going to you're not going to give him any leeway out there, are you? If he does,
no, absolutely not.
If anything else, you're going to do everything you can to make sure he don't beat you, right?
Yeah, this is my cookie box out here.
That's right. So that's awesome, man. So like you say, man, unfortunately the opening round didn't go so well for you. Is your worst finish of your side-by-side racing career. You seem to be rebounding back, and for obvious reasons, man. I mean, you got a good team behind you. You got good equipment behind you. The rest of the season, basically, you just got to focus on doing what you've done in the past, I guess, then, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say that at this point, because of the points standing where they are right now, I've got a whole lot less to lose, and you'll probably see me sticking my neck out a little bit more than what you might have seen in the past, because I really need to get those first place finishes to start gaining that point lead, and you know, being 25 points behind right out of the bag is hard. It's gonna make it difficult. So I'm definitely gonna be sticking my neck out, you know, and kind of going for broke for the rest of the year. I mean, I'm certainly not going to give it any leeway whenever it comes to making passes or you know, trying different lines. I'll pretty much do anything at this point to try and earn some championships.
Even against your brother, I guess.
Yeah, especially against my brother. You know, he went out there and got a 4th place, and he was my strongest competition last year, and so he's got a super good start right out of the bag. You know, he's got lots of points on me, and he'll be a fierce competitor. You know, he was the one that was right next to me in turn number 1 and right on my tail for the first lap. I fully expect us to have some really good battles between Hunter and Kyle Chaney and myself this year. It'll be turned up to the next level, that's for sure, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
I believe so. Now, tell me, have you heard of anybody that wasn't at Big Buck that's going to be possibly at Florida that might be some competition?
Well, for the XC1 class, they're not really allowing too many people right into that right now. I know that there are some short course drivers that are interested in GNCC. A friend of mine, CJ Greaves, actually, one of the guys that assembled my car behind me here, he's actually going to come out and run XC2 at the Florida round. So be looking for him, the number 33 car out there, and it'll be a fully built Greaves YXE, and I fully expect him to have great results because he'll definitely be one of the most skilled drivers out there. No doubt.
And here's something else to point out, man. I don't know if you paid attention to it, but, you know, they're, like you say, I mean, I guess they leave the XC1, from what I understand, as a premier for the up to 1,000 cc's if you want to drive those. I guess that's the 1,000 cc cars, and then everybody else, like XC2, would be like the not, you know, the not turbocharged, I guess, would probably be the best way to put that. And it was interesting to me to see how competitive that those XC2 drivers where we actually had one or two on the podium and in podium contention and possibly winning the overall for a little bit. And maybe, was Colin one of those? I can't recall if he was a XC1 or XC2, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Colin, I believe, was in the XC2 class, and he actually got the overall. A lot of times out here in GNCC, it doesn't come down to how much horsepower you have. It's how you drive the car. And staying smooth and consistent makes a pretty big difference there. There's also something to be said about lap traffic at this point, because the first row, which I won't be a part of for the next race.
You'll have an advantage then.
Yeah, the first row is always the first row to catch the lap traffic. And when you catch these lap traffic guys, some of them haven't been on the track but for a couple of minutes. And when we get up behind them, they either don't believe that it's the XC1 class behind them or don't hear us. And long story short, they don't let us around very quickly. Right. And in that minute that you spend behind this lap traffic, the second, third, fourth rows, all of them are just gaining huge amounts of time on the first rows. And then once we make the pass and we overcome that traffic, the very next people that come up on them are usually the rows behind us.
And that's when it starts to separate.
And they go right around because these guys are like shell-shocked from getting passed by us. They're
right.
Like, oh boy, there's a race going on behind us. We need to make some room. And towards that end, it's just an evolution of the sport because, like you said, we're running turbo cars now and we're going a whole lot faster than what we ever have been before. And the sport's just got to adapt and it's got to evolve. And towards that end, I think that we're going to get to the point that we can't be on the same track at the same time with the lower classes. And, talking with some of the promoters and things, I think that it's a possibility that there is going to be a schedule change and it'll be more like the XC1 and XC2 class out there in that time slot. Mm-hmm. And
that opens up the window when we do something like that on the GNCC side of things. We're going to need a third day, so that means that you guys may be racing on Friday evenings and afternoons here in the future.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, I say that kind of jokingly right now, but when you look at the grand picture of everything, this is growing, and why wouldn't it grow into that?
Yeah, absolutely. You can't fight the growth. It's coming. It's coming like a freight train. So we just have to work with it, and everybody has to put their heads together to make it all work properly and work smooth.
I agree. Man, great start to the season. Unfortunately, you didn't get the points you were looking for. I know you say, man, that's not a great start. I'm impressed because you worked so hard just to try to finish, man. That right there is a great start to me. That shows the heart of a champion right there, I think, Cody.
I appreciate it.
And
I appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, I would do just about anything to try and have the victory out there and have success, because there's nothing I'm more passionate about in life than racing.
That's awesome, man. And I'm glad that you found a home in GNCC, man, because, when you first came over, I thought, wow, Cody Miller from ATV Motocross is coming to ride some side-by-sides. Lo and behold, I knew you were a racer, but I didn't think you were going to be champion. Not that quick anyway, man. And that blew me. I was like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, I've had a really good run, and I intend to keep after it for many years to come. I
look forward to watching you do it as well. Now, is there any parting shots, anybody you want to send any shout-outs to or anything today before I let you go?
Yeah, in particular, I'd like to thank Yamaha. They've given me the opportunity to come out here and make this effort alongside, all the other sponsors that you see here and on the hood of this car. DWT, Maxxis Tires, GYTR, Elko Suspension, Ampro Racing, Yamaha, the Greaves. These guys built me a heck of a ride this year. If you can't tell by looking at it, it's definitely a work of art.
Yeah, that's a beauty.
Yeah, certainly. I really appreciate these guys for making it all possible, and try and do a good job of representing you at the next round.
All right, buddy. Well, I'll tell you what, it's been nice talking to you. I look forward to seeing you in Florida, and look forward to seeing what this championship season's like for you, man.
All right. Thank you very much.
All righty. That's Cody. What's that?
I said, have a good one.
Oh, I plan on having nothing but good ones from here on out, my friend. Hey, right. That's Cody Miller right over there. Yeah, right over there. I'm Rodney Tomlin right here. This is Quad Radio. Good day.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.